Hey everyone, Dan from Gym here, and it's finally time for Nationals. Competition that I've been looking at from a year ago when I found out it would be in my home province. First goal was to qualify, and we did that, and now the next goal is to pretty much just go and have fun, and I can expand on that a little bit right away here. Basically, in the meet prep, it was the same as my previous meet prep, starting off with all the volume, 3 reps in reserve training, and then tapering off to minimal volume, 1 rep in reserve, right down to the deload week this week, which I've completed as of recording, and just feeling really great. Something that I always notice in the prep is in the first week or so, I'm just so tired from all the volume, and then the volume starts to drop off and you start to notice the effects of the taper and energy levels start to rise, which is good and bad. The bad side is I always tried to use physical activity to tire myself out so I could sleep at night, and with energy levels rising, it's getting a little bit harder to sleep, which is ironic because I need a good sleep to perform well. But anyway, prep went really well, hit all the weights as scheduled, and everything felt about as good as it should have, if not better. Even after, if you look at my squat video, I hit the RPE 9 weight, but it definitely felt easier than it should have felt. And I think depth was okay. You could argue about that too, but that's something you can always argue about. Talking about attempt selection now. Squats, my first and second attempts are going to be the same. They're going to be 225 kilos or 496 pounds for the opener, and then 235 kilos and 518 pounds for the second attempt. And this is the exact same as provincials, because really my squat only went up about 5 pounds from what I estimate. So at provincials, I estimated it was at 535 pounds. Now I figure it's at 540. And I mentioned in my previous prep video that I always, since it's in pounds, I always take the in-between of 2 lifts. So in this case, my attempt A is 242.5 kilos, or that's 534 pounds. And my attempt B is 245 kilos or 540.2 pounds. So it's kind of an interesting spot because in provincials, my max was 535, which was in between 534 and 540. And now it's 540, which is also between 534 and 540.2. So I probably could try to push it a little bit more, but of course, I just like to play things safe with squats just to make sure I get that third attempt in. So the plan for this will basically be to go for the 3B attempt unless I'm feeling extra tired or things just don't seem to be moving well that day. Moving on to bench press. Bench press, it's also going to be fairly similar to provincials. So my first attempt is going to be 160 kilos or 352 pounds. And then my second attempt will be 167.5 kilos, which is 369 pounds. And then for my max attempt, in the last prep, I talked about how I wasn't too sure about 380 pounds for my attempt, but I went through it anyway and it felt pretty solid. So now I'm estimating it's 5 pounds higher at 385. However, when you look at the numbers, 172.5 kilos is 380 pounds, and then 175 kilos is 385.8, which again, I went up 5 pounds, but it fell in that in between, since a 2.5 kilo jump is actually 5.5 pounds or something like that. So it's a little bit interesting. If I was really trying to push the total, I would definitely look at increasing both my squat and my bench attempts. So for bench, I'm going to be going for the 175 kilo bench, of course, dropping it down if something doesn't feel right. However, if the goal was to completely max out on all of the lifts, I'd probably be looking at 247.5 for squat and then 177.5 for bench, which that 247.5 for squat is a big maybe too, because I like to play things a little bit safe just to make sure that I hit depth in the moment. The reason that I might be sandbagging on these per se is because of my main goal for this meet is to break the provincial deadlift record. I mentioned again in the last prep, the provincial deadlift record is 301 kilos. If I broke it at the provincial level, I could just go up to 301.5 kilos, which is a pretty small jump. Since this is at a national level meet, I have to stick with the 2.5 kilo increments, basically because national level does not care about provincial records. People there get excited, of course, but if you could do a 0.5 increment for a provincial record at a national meet, that could give you an unfair advantage against the other athletes. So similar to provincials, my opening attempt is going to be 275 kilos or 606 pounds. And with deadlifts, I always drop off a little bit more on my 3-rep max. So for example, bench press, my 3-rep max is 355 pounds, but you can see that I'm opening at 352 pounds, pretty close. Deadlift, my 3-rep max is 615 pounds, but I'm opening at 606 pounds. And part of this too is because I'm getting closer to the end of the meet, so it's really about conserving energy. And if everything is going well, the bigger jumps are really will probably just help me going forward. And the other thing too is with deadlift being such a heavy lift, it's my heaviest lift, so it's, if you think about it, it's more work to do a 600-pound deadlift than a 350-pound bench. And because of that, then you maybe want to be a little bit more conservative on your first couple deadlifts attempts, or at least your first deadlift attempt, just to make sure you're not blowing out all the energy that you have left. Or the other thing might be that you might be gassed and not know it, and then now you've missed an opening deadlift attempt, which is really not good. Especially if you've been having a successful day so far, that would be a pretty terrible way to end the day. So, first attempt, 275, second attempt, 287.5, 633 pounds, which is pretty cool because 287.5 kilos is what I deadlifted 1 year ago at Westerns. So pretty excited to see the progress where my max from a year ago is now my second attempt. And then for my third attempt, I've spoken before about how I can get my adrenaline up a little bit higher for my third deadlift attempt. And so right now my estimated max is 655 pounds. And so if I went with the same strategy as my other two lifts, I would probably be looking at 297.5 kilos, or maybe even dropping down to 295 kilos. However, at provincials, my estimated 1-rep max was 650 pounds. I went to provincials, I loaded up 650 pounds on the bar, and I'll post a video right here so you can see that it actually moved pretty well. There's not a lot of shaking, and remember that this meet was at the end of the day, and midway through bench, I was feeling the effects of this being a later in the day meet. So that just instills more confidence in deadlift, being able to push it a little bit more. And for that reason, my A and B attempts, they're really 300 kilos and 302.5 kilos, or 661 pounds or 667 pounds. Now, of course, the number one choice is 302.5 kilos because that's the one that'll break the provincial record. But if things aren't going well, then we might just have to play things by ear, because at the end of the day, I'd rather do my best than just do something silly and risk hurting myself. So that's the goals. Basically a small PR for a squat, a small PR for a bench, and then a big PR and a record for a deadlift. So I'm very excited for this. If I hit everything, I believe I'm looking at a 722 kilo total, which is massive considering a year ago my best total was 690 kilos. So 32.5 kilos over 1 year I think would be a great success, especially considering that this last year was complete change up in my programming, and in a way a review of the Renaissance periodization training program for powerlifting. One other thing I wanted to talk about is the flight organization for this meet. So the maximum number of lifters that can be in a flight is 14 lifters. However, there are 15 lifters signed up in my weight class. So because of that, our weight class actually got split, and I got put into the earlier weight class. So technically I don't get to lift with everyone, but there are 3 of us that are put in an earlier flight. So my flight, it will be with lifters from 2 lighter weight classes, and then there will be the 3 of us in the 93 kilo class. And then in flight B, it will come out all of the other lifters in the 93 kilo class. And if you're curious how that happened, it basically goes off of nominated total or your qualifying total. So in order to compete at nationals, you need to reach a qualifying total. And then when you sign up, you tell them what your qualifying total was and what meet you achieved it at, so that the meet directors can verify that you've achieved this total within the last 2 years. And so one advantage of having a higher qualifying total is it puts you higher up the ranks. So if someone qualifies with 800 kilos, someone qualifies with 790, and someone qualifies with 780, they use that list to decide initial rankings, which really only matters in this case for deciding who gets to be in the prime time flight, and then who gets knocked down to a secondary flight if that has to happen. So if you watch World's Powerlifting, you'll see the same thing. Athletes will have their nominated totals, and because there are so many countries competing, you will actually have a B flight of lifters go, and then the A flight of lifters will go after that. So it's a little bit disappointing that I don't get to be with everyone. However, I'm still going to be with 2 other guys, so I'm sure we'll have a good time in the warm-up room talking with each other. And I also enjoy being in the flight A. You can start your squat warm-up as early as you want, and it just kind of helps pace things a little bit. So at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. Plus, once I finish my 3rd deadlift, now I can go watch the rest of the deadlifts, which is pretty cool too. So, so it's all working out. So if you want to watch live, I will have the live score sheet link in the description down below, and then I will also have a link to the live stream in the description down below. The lifting will start at 10 a.m. on Friday, February 28th, if you've watched this video before then. So you can go ahead and watch me, and I just appreciate the support. I've got a few friends that have been watching this series, and I've just loved getting comments back from you guys on what you think of the videos. So I hope your training is going well, and I will see you after now.
You can still go, even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.